Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/infidelity, where OP's wife did the most expected of things. Let's begin. I just got engaged a few weeks ago. Posted by Reddit user Mr. Rocket Scientist.
I just got engaged to my girlfriend of 5 years after the holidays. Things were going well until she came up with her list of what she needs to be comfortable. To move into my house, she would like at least one of the bathroom's cabinets swapped because she doesn't like them, and she wants the shower in another bathroom redone. She also wants the interior of the family room painted because she doesn't like the color. If I push back, she says that she's moving into my space and this is what she needs. Further, she wants my basement tenant to move out, which I can kind of understand, but it also means losing $1,000 a month in rent. Now when it comes to the wedding, we had set a budget of $30,000 for everything. The venue she is pushing for is $40,000 by itself, not including lodging, transportation, a DJ, flowers, music, a dress or cake. The wedding is likely to come out to $60,000 to $70,000 all said and done. We don't have the money, so she would like to take out loans. This is more money than she makes in a year. I don't know what to do. I feel hopeless. I feel like we haven't even been engaged for 3 weeks and I can't keep her happy. I make good money, but can't afford to renovate my bathrooms while paying for this extreme wedding. I am not okay taking on $60,000 in debt for 5 hours of fun. We are talking like $200 per minute. I don't know what to do. Edit. The venue she wants to go to is because she feels close to a deceased parent there. The basement tenant is a girl a little bit younger than us who we are both great friends with. We are gone most weekends and I travel for work, so I love having someone there to look after my house, but I can understand her wanting the house for ourselves. As I mentioned in a comment below, if this is what she needs to be happy, then I don't want to negotiate it down. While she may begrudgingly agree to it, I think she would end up resenting me. Edit 2. I feel like I made this too one-sided. Maybe the wedding comes into the low 50s. I am not sure yet. Also, she wants to make my house into our house, which is good. I want her to be comfortable there. It's just a lot of money all hitting at once. She does have diagnosed OCD, so I believe that she won't be happy without some of the changes she mentioned. Edit 3. That obsessive-compulsive personality disorder, which is actually what she has, is drastically different than OCD. I failed to realize this. From Cleveland Clinic. Obsessive-compulsive personality disorder, OCPD, is a mental health condition that causes an extensive preoccupation with perfectionism, organization, and control. These behaviors and thought patterns interfere with completing tasks and maintaining relationships. People with OCPD have rigid beliefs and specific ways of doing different tasks. They don't allow for any flexibility and are unable to compromise with others. People with OCPD often don't realize their behavior and way of thinking are problematic.
It still blows my mind to this day that some people are willing to spend that much on a wedding. OP. It honestly sounds like that now that you have proposed, she feels like that she had locked you up and is taking the mask off. You need to stand your ground. If you don't do it now, just imagine what your marriage is gonna look like. It sounds to me that there is no negotiation that is being tolerated here. More like her way or the highway. I take this as an important sign. Life is too short, my dude. Take the highway. Otherwise, you're gonna live a life of hell while being in debt. And now for today's second story. My wife left me and it's really difficult. Posted by Reddit user Jordan from Stash.
I'll try to paint a summary of our story. I had been with my wife for 9 years, 5.5 of those being married. We found each other on a dating site late 2014 and went on our first date in early January 2015. I was immediately smitten with her. We stayed together as she took 2 overseas study abroad opportunities, finished getting her doctorate degree, and then started applying for positions. By this time, I had already decided she was the one I wanted to be with and decided to move where she'd get her position. She was only applying locally, within 1 hour driving distance from where we were, so not a drastic move. Long story short, we moved a total of 3 times, progressively getting further and further away. During this time, we got married and her father, who was battling cancer, took a turn for the worse and passed away. We always wanted to move back to the town we loved and where we both went to school. It was a vibrant college town, with a lively community, great restaurants, bike paths, and rapidly growing. At this point we were living 2 hours away. She finally got to transfer to the city next to the town we loved, and we finally could move. We moved in with our parents, switching between my parents' home and her mom's home. We lucked out and found a fantastic home right on the bike path in the town. The owners were moving to another state soon and needed to sell quickly. Everything worked out. We moved into the town we loved with our puppy and finally made it to the town we loved, and it's been almost 2 years, but things have started arising. She's been upset with me, fairly so, with my ability to articulate my thoughts and my less than perfect communication style. I've tried to be better, but sometimes I don't realize I'm even falling short. I also fell short in a number of other areas, such as not getting as excited as I should have been for things she was excited about. I wanted to preface this by making it clear that I wasn't being the best husband, and I wanted to acknowledge that. She's struggled with depression and anxiety for as long as I've known her, especially early on and when her father was sick and passing away. She'd always go through these, what I call auras of sadness, where she just gets down and says down things, but can't explain why she's feeling down all the time, it just happens. She's then been telling me she's unhappy with some things about me. Sometimes I thought these were just these auras, but I should have been more attentive about these. Sometimes I felt defensive, as a lot of times these came across as everything going wrong with us is because of you to me. I want to add that this negativity was in no way an everyday thing, and these arguments or pessimistic subject matters were not our entire relationship. Many of our days were filled with fun and laughing, and doing fun things around town we loved and sharing some hobbies we shared. We split tasks around the house and always handled things that came our way together. We had a set budget for things that we stuck to or came in below budget, and trusted each other with our money. She's always had a bit of a problem making friends. She's always been best friends with her parents, but outside of them and her brother, she hasn't really had a close friend since I've known her. She's been having a rough time at work, and I've been urging her to try to make a friend there. She ended up getting along with someone at work who had some similar interests as her: video games, hiking, fantasy, etc. I was happy she made a friend. She was saying how he'd bring his Switch and they'd play games at lunch. We played games online with him, and I even invited him to play D&D with a campaign I was about to run. She didn't seem to be hiding anything in particular, and I don't think anything was going on. She seemed open with me about it all. She even asked if it was okay if they ate lunch together sometimes, which didn't really bother me. I had work friends after all too. Then she asked one day if it was fine if they went on a hike on her day off. I didn't want to be a controlling person that didn't allow her to have friends just because they were a male, so I said it's fine. I didn't feel particularly bad about it. I completely trusted her. The next night was her company Christmas social hour, being held at a local bar near her work. The company was paying for it, so it was only for the staff, no plus ones. I was bummed because I wanted to meet a lot of these coworkers she complained to me about all the time, but I wasn't particularly worried. This part is important because my wife is very adamant about going to bed by a certain time. She can't play D&D with one of my groups because it gets over at 11 p.m. She's typically in bed by 10 p.m. every night and asleep before 11. I was waiting for her to get home, and the time crept from 9 to 10, 11, 12. At this point, the bar was closing, so I was surprised she closed down the bar, but I know how office parties can get. Figured she'd be home around 1 then. Then 2, 3, 4. I started getting worried. I was woken up by her getting home at 5 a.m. I asked what happened, and she said she wasn't okay to drive home, so she sobered up in her car and just talked with her friend until she felt okay to drive. It was 5 a.m. I accepted the answer. The next day we had a Christmas party, but she seemed distant and quiet on the drive. She said it was because she was so tired from not getting enough sleep. All right. The next day, she was leaving on a 5-day mini road trip with her brother. Before he picked her up, I had a quick talk with her and said that I just didn't feel comfortable with her spending so much time with him anymore and talking to him so much. She said, "That's fair, I understand." And that was that. She went on her road trip. At this point I was suspicious. When she came back, she still seemed distant and off. I asked her what was wrong and she said she's just tired. But I didn't accept that answer anymore. She said she'd tell me after Christmas. When I asked why's that matter, she said she didn't want to ruin Christmas. It set off alarm bells. I told her that I couldn't wait until after Christmas, knowing that it was a big enough deal that she feels that it'd ruin Christmas for me. She told me of all the things that were making her unhappy with me and my shortcomings and all that. These were mostly all valid complaints, by the way. She told me that she's held out for long enough and that she wants a divorce. It was really eye-opening and hit me like a truck. I felt how serious she was, and I acknowledged all she was saying and wanted to try to reconcile and fix the things I was doing wrong. Then she said that there was one more thing. That she cheated on me that night. She was out until 5 a.m. in the car with her friend, who I found out was also married, and also the day before on the hike. On the hike, there was just kissing and some touching, but in the car the next night there was far more. I was willing to work past it and reconcile to save our marriage because I really loved her and wanted to stay with her. Over the holidays, we went to all the parties and family get-togethers, and for that week I tried to make my case. She was considering both options, but eventually ended with her staying with her initial response to leave me. I was wondering if this had anything to do with that coworker, and she said she tried to make this decision without considering him as a factor, and that she's been unhappy for a while. She did say that she couldn't really bring herself to split with me ever, but this coworker was the trigger to make her do it. Now, I've moved back in with my parents and we are working on officially splitting and divorcing. I'm having a miserable time. I lost the home I loved, in the town I loved. I don't get to see my puppy. We agreed to trade him every week, and my living situation is not ideal. I am also dreadfully lonely. I talk to her every day and all day while at work, and I hung out with her and talked to her every night. Now when we text, it's not playful or affectionate. It's just lifeless and soulless. She was my rock when I had issues or was sad, and I lost that. I don't have anyone that can fill that hole she left. What's worse is normally she'd message me back in a timely fashion. But lately in the evenings, it's been complete silence, with messages not even being seen by her. This is the same feeling I had that night she was out until 5 a.m., and the only other time she's ever ghosted me for hours. It may not be right, but I am assuming he's with her, and it's eating me up inside. We've only been living apart for 5 nights now, so to think he's already there, in my house with her, so soon is hurtful. At the end of the day, while I'm hurt by that, I also feel regret about not doing enough soon enough to be better. None of this would be happening if I had just been less selfish or stubborn and tried harder. Sorry for the story, I wanted to make sure I touched on the timeline.
OP, as expected, you are gravely mistaken. This happened not because you messed up as a husband. This happened because you married a hoe. Listen to me, OP. If you even have any semblance of self-respect, stop trying to contact her, get a lawyer, tell her you want the house, and why did you even move out in the first place? She was the one who had an affair, so she should be the one moving out, not you. Next, I want you to figure out who he is and tell his wife. You have played with him online. Google his username or hire a private investigator. And lastly, stop assuming that if you're nice to her, it will benefit you in some way. It won't. She will wreck you in the divorce. Grow a pair, will you? Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.